Drive long enough through beautiful West Virginia and you'll get to what is literally the quietest place in America. As you arrive, your phone will stop working, the radio will crackle out, and you'll find yourself in a place unlike any town in the world. Welcome to Green Bank. Population 150. Things to do? Not very many. But the research that takes place here could one day have a profound effect on the lives of all of us. The town is at the centre of the US National Radio Quiet Zone. The rules are no mobile phone coverage, no strong Wi-Fi, nothing that might interfere with this, the Green Bank Telescope. Once a week the telescope goes down briefly for maintenance. This was my chance to take in a truly incredible sight. It weighs more than 7,000 tons. It's bigger than a football pitch. It can rotate in a full circle. And it has a very important job. In the same way that an optical telescope is able to see far away into the universe, this enormous thing is able to listen far away.
The energy given off by a single snowflake is much greater than the astronomical signal that this telescope is trying to receive. They use 20% of the time on this telescope to specifically search for signals that may be coming from an advanced civilization. So if it happens, we're fairly certain that it will happen here first.
Back down on Earth, I meet Chuck. Locals call him the Wi-Fi police. I joined him on patrol.
Interesting.
It's Chuck's job to drive around Green Bank in search of interference that could be affecting the operation of the telescope.
It's looking for Wi-Fi hotspots. And then we've got a general purpose receiver that is really the main piece of equipment we use when we're looking for interference. Then we got a bunch of junk underneath here.
If you're thinking Chuck doesn't look like a particularly ferocious enforcer, you'd be right. In the battle of Chuck versus home Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi has won. So now he just concentrates on the bigger signals. You'd think living here with all these restrictions on normal modern life would be irritating, quite hard to deal with, but there are some people who live in Green Bank, and it's precisely the reason why they're here. Diane is one of around 20 people who have moved to Green Bank because they feel they are essentially allergic to electronic interference.
Being near the cell tower, I had a headache. Being away from the cell tower, the headache went away. Returning closer, from a distance, the headache kept growing and growing and growing.
Shortly after I arrived, she asked if she could turn out the lights.
Add a little bit of
Jesus, be our guest. May these gifts to us be blessed, and please give us wisdom.
I used to multitask. I used to have a monitor here, and I had another computer monitor there, and I could work those two things, and I would be listening to the radio, and I could do many things. But now, it's not something one wants to have. It's not something that one would pretend to have.
Diane has the full support of her family, but there are many out there that don't believe her condition is real. Regardless, she and several others see Green Bank not as a quaint American town, but as the last remaining safe place. but that peace and quiet could be under threat. The US government has said it may no longer be able to afford the upkeep of the telescope. Without it here, the legal protection for the quiet zone may no longer exist.
Starts off hour number 1 of something different for this Tuesday night here on Allegheny Mountain Radio.
Despite the restrictions, the town does have a radio station that broadcasts on a frequency that does not interfere. For a sense of how the town may change if the telescope was to go, I popped in and found a friendly face.
Set short. There's some people would be just over the moon happy that we'll finally get cell phone service. But it's not going to change the fact that you can't put up a TV antenna unless you're up on a high mountain and pick up some local TV station.
If you talk to the middle school kids, especially in Green Bank, they definitely wish that they did have cell service.
Back at the observatory, I'm told how they've rebranded in an attempt to court private investment. And while rather out of the way, there's ambitions that one day Green Bank could be a tourist destination. Eventually they hope it can sustain itself even without government help. Coming here and seeing this great big thing, it really makes your imagination run wild. I mean, what if they were to hear something? What if they were to hear that aliens are out there communicating, perhaps even communicating with us? It would change everything, I think. So if you want them to keep on listening in that thing over there, then I suggest you try and visit Green Bank. I can promise you it's worth it.
How many of us have walked out into the night and looked up at the stars and stood there in wonder? We don't produce widgets. We don't produce something that you go to the store and buy. But we do produce education. We do produce research. We do produce answers to questions that we haven't even asked ourselves yet. And that thirst for knowledge is why a facility like this exists and why it must exist in the future. Those questions are the basis of what it means for us to be human. And that constant search is done here every day. I don't know how else to put it.